I'm actually getting worse because one, I don't feel good. My relationship with food sucks right now. I feel so chaotic because my eating habits are not in line with the kind of life that I want to live. Truly believed that the more that I controlled my food, the more that I thought and micromanaged my food to the point of tracking every single calorie that I ate, trying to burn off as many calories as I could. I thought that that's what was going to create the freedom and feeling of where I wanted to be. I truly believe that it's so controlling over my food and everything that I put in my body, to the foods that I ate, to trying to cut out all of sugar, all of the foods that I thought was bad. I truly believe that that was the way that we feel free, controlled, confident in my body, and ultimately that's what I truly believed was going to create happiness for me in my life. But that was the biggest misconception that honestly kept me trapped for so long. And I want to speak to that person who right now is still struggling with feeling the need to constantly track every single calorie, who is terrified of overeating or not burning off of calories, or worried about eating the wrong foods. Where you are right now and the feelings and anxiety that you currently have around food is not caused by food itself. Food is not the enemy. We can get to a place where food actually gets to be easy. And when we think of it like this, all food is meant to be part of our everyday life. Humans cannot exist without food. However, somewhere along the lines, we've been conditioned and believed that we need to control food, and that food is something to be controlled, and food is something that we need to avoid or we need to fear. Food is fundamentally part of the human experience and what we need in order to survive. Without it, we would die. This is a lot of the work that I do with my clients, where I help them rebuild that sense of trust with themselves and with food and their body as well. But ultimately, the more that we control food, the more it controls us. We are so in our own heads and we're micromanaging everything that we eat. We're terrified of eating the wrong thing. We've got this idea and this perception that food is bad, or there are some foods that are inherently bad and that they're going to do something really bad to us because of all of the things that we've learned over the years, from diet culture, from reading magazines, from seeing celebrities going on these crazy diets, whatever it is. Perceive this perception that food is something that we need to control, that without it, we are going to spiral. But the problem with this, the more that you control food, the more that it will control you. Your body is designed to eat. Your body needs food. And if we micromanage and if we try to control our food, there will come a point where our body starts to fight back. And sometimes this can be a subtle shift. Sometimes this can be almost like it feels like it's happened overnight. And if you've not heard my story with binge eating and bulimia, I will link it down in the description box below so you can check that out, where I describe how my relationship with food, at one point I felt like I was completely in control, to then the next minute feeling completely out of control. These shifts can start happening a lot more subtly. For example, we might start feeling very food focused. We might feel drawn to looking at pictures of food, for example, or fantasizing about food. This is all something that I had so much experience with. On my phone or on my Instagram search, look on my search page and it was just full with of food porn. There was just so many photos of food because I was looking at it so much, because I felt so mentally and emotionally and physically deprived. That can be one area where we start to feel more drawn to certain foods, or maybe even we wanting to be around food, maybe we're wanting to cook for people, or looking at food magazines, things like that. And that can be where it kind of begins. Or we might feel quite anxious, we might struggle to sleep, we might feel really tired, really exhausted, our libido is non-existent, we feel quite irritable, quite angry, and our mood can fluctuate quite a lot, or we might just feel quite numb and depressed. And these can all happen so subtly, and we might not associate that being with the food. The more that we try to control and manipulate our food, or our body will start to eventually fight back. And this is when we start to see things such as overeating, the desire to overeat on certain foods, or even the compulsion to overeat on those foods, and feeling like we can't start eating something, and then in our brain it feels like something's switched and we feel like we physically can't stop eating. This is a normal part of the process that our bodies start to do to prevent us from starving to death, essentially. If our bodies didn't have these coping mechanisms, we would essentially just starve to death, which is our body's one job, is to keep us alive. There's certain hormone fluctuations that happen in our brain that influence our bodies and our brain to fight back against starvation. So if your body starts to feel like it's being deprived a lot more, it will put the brakes on certain aspects. So it will then alter certain hormone changes in your brain and in your body that normally, say if you was to eat normal sized meal, able to eat it, feel full and satisfied after, and then move on. And if we've been in a state of restriction, if we've not been eating enough, those hormone changes will start to occur, which will then affect how satisfied and balanced and full we feel. It's going to indicate whether or not we can leave a meal and feel full and satisfied, or we feel like we can't stop eating after that. Want to know more about this? I speak directly all about these kind of changes within my free Break the Binge masterclass, so I will link that down in the description box below if you want to check that out. But as I break down exactly what is happening to our bodies when we are in a state of starvation or restriction. And you might even be thinking, well, I'm not starving myself, I'm not restricting myself so much, I'm just trying to count calories. The difference is, if our body's been in a state of restriction for a long period of time, and this might not even be that much, your body senses that food is scarce, and to the point of mental restriction. If your body starts sensing that food is not readily available, your body can start putting on the brakes to allow you to stick with that calorie deficit. So don't necessarily think that because you're not starving yourself or restricting your calories super low, if your body senses that it is under threat, is going to put on the brakes. And there is only a certain amount of time that your body probably will participate in following a restrictive diet before it starts putting on the brakes. As I said, I really just want to speak to that person who right now does feel like if she doesn't control food, if she isn't counting every calorie, that she's terrified that she's going to spiral. I know this because I've been there, and I reached a point where I'd been dieting for so many years that I got to the point when I couldn't even diet for even a couple of days without my body starting to spiral. And when I say spiral, I could diet for a few days and then I would go the other way and compulsively overeat to the point of feeling physically sick. So then I would spiral into this belief that I needed to diet more and I needed to control my food more, because this reinforced that same belief that I was out of control around food and that I had a problem. The thing that I really want to drive home is, you are not the problem. You do not have a food addiction problem. You don't have a genetics problem, and your metabolism isn't broken. However, the more that you control food, the more that these symptoms are just going to keep getting worse. And when I say getting worse, I mean things such as our metabolism slowing down. And again, I've done a whole video series on metabolism, so I'll link that down in the description box below as well. So if you want to go into that in a lot more detail, but essentially what diets do to us long term, especially with our metabolism, it's going to start to slow our metabolism down. It's going to start to have our body start to fight back. The more that we control food, the more that we restrict food. And essentially, we're restricting food because we're terrified of what's going to happen if we just allow ourselves to eat. But the difference is, allow food to be easy. Food, like I said, is a normal part of the human experience. It's our fears and beliefs around what food is going to do, or what we believe is going to happen if we don't diet. But the difference is, and that we need to really think about here, is nothing changes if nothing changes. And again, experience here, because I was dieting constantly. I was just jumping from one diet to the next, and I felt like I needed to control everything because I was so scared of not dieting. What was going to happen? I thought I was going to just keep spiraling. I thought I was just going to keep eating and eating and eating. Came a point when I realized that the more that I was dieting, the more food focused that I was being. The compulsive overeating would occur. I was emotionally overeating. Like, my eating just felt so chaotic. And I looked at the situation and I realized I'm doing this to try and lose weight. I'm actually getting worse because, one, I don't feel good. My relationship with food sucks right now. I feel so chaotic because my eating habits are not in line with the kind of life that I want to live. So what makes me think that the more controlling I'm doing is gonna eventually get me to a place where I feel, one, in control, and two, at a body point that I feel happy in? It's not gonna happen. Same thing is happening again and again and again. We're essentially not gonna diet our way and force our way into a diet to feel in control, when right now, when we're trying so hard to stick to a diet and we're not in control, we're swinging from one end to the other, going from restricting to then compulsively overeating to then restricting again. That is not going to change unless something changes. I honestly reached that point where I'm just going to have to change and do something different. And that means facing some fears. That means I'm going to have to do something I've probably never done before because I dieted for most of my life. This is where the education piece is so important. And this is, again, a lot of the work that I do with my clients, to educate you on food, on nutrition, but also body, how your body works, and your body does not want to be starved. If he senses that food is not readily available, it is going to continue to fight back. You are not the problem, but your body feels unsafe right now, so it is going to keep putting the brakes on, and it is going to make dieting harder and harder and harder over time. What needs to happen instead is we need to build our metabolism back up. We need to build a healthy, balanced relationship with food. In order to get to a place where we feel good in our bodies need to be working on board with us. And we need to not feel crazy around food. And in order to not feel crazy around food, we actually need to stop controlling it. When we stop controlling it and have these conversations and messages from clients all the time, they cannot believe that once they stop putting the brakes on their food, food becomes normal. And leave a bar of chocolate on the counter and they're not bothered. They can have cookies in the house and it doesn't drive them crazy. They even forget that they've got those kind of foods in the house. Food becomes something that is so natural and easy and effortless. If fat loss is a goal for you, or getting to a point where you feel healthier and happier in your body, it's from that point that is very intentional, and doing that in a way that does not terrify your body that food is not going to be available. Two, it doesn't jeopardize and sacrifice your relationship with food. Let food be easy. It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be part of our day-to-day life. We cannot survive without food. We cannot override and mentally override our body. There will come a point when our body will just put on the brakes and fight back. Do it before that happens. Unfortunately, I didn't, so it meant that I was constantly in that yo-yo cycle, binging and then restricting. You can get there so much faster. Right now, food does still feel like so overwhelming right now. You don't know where to put your energy, and you quite frankly just feel completely chaotic with food. Trust me, I get it, and this is when we start spiraling, or we're spinning our wheels and we're doing everything. One minute we're trying this diet, the next minute we're doing something different. And the point is, we need to get to a point where we are stable and our body is working with us rather than against us. If that is you right now, I'm offering some free food habit assessments. So I'll leave all the details down in the description box below. But essentially what these free food habit assessments are, dive deep into your particular habits and behaviors with food. Your relationship with food and your habits and behaviors with food are so unique. It is not a cookie cutter plan. We'll dive deep into what your particular habits with food look like, how it's showing up for you right now, and what is essentially getting in the way of you reaching to where you want to be. From there, I'll be able to assess and exactly direct you in the right direction so that you know what your next steps are, so that you can stop spinning your wheels and going round and round and round in circles. Sometimes we need that outsider perspective to see somebody who's been there. Trust that outsider perspective so that you know that you're going crazy, because you're not going crazy. But we need to do something different. Like I said, nothing changes if nothing changes. To get the exact blueprint and strategy that you need, and I'll direct you into where you should be spending your time and energy instead of getting so distracted with other things. So I will leave the details down in the description box below. My last message on this: let food be easy. It is meant to be easy, and you can get to a point where food does just become an everyday part of your life. And when it does, you won't believe how much your world opens up, because you're not so focused on food. Food should not be so much of a focus. It's a part of our life. However, if we're constantly obsessing over food, having food guilt, worrying about food, stressing over food, comfort eating, stress eating, that is not a way to live. And ultimately, it's not why you was put on this planet. You have got so much more to give. And when food noise, the food chaos goes away and you heal your relationship with food, your world and life truly opens up. And I speak from my experience and also from the clients that I work with. I see this happen all of the time. I cannot believe just how free they feel, not only in themselves, but food just isn't a thing anymore. They have the mental and physical energy and capacity to do hobbies. They're not bothered and they're not obsessing and thinking about food 24/7. They're not spending their alone time overeating, comfort eating. Instead, they're doing things that truly light them up, part of their purpose. Purpose on this planet was not to constantly try and lose weight or jump on another diet every single week. Your purpose on this planet is so much bigger than that. So let food be easy. Really hope you enjoyed this video. Would love to hear down in the comments section below if there's anything in particular that you are struggling with. Feel free to comment down in future videos that you would like me to cover. If you like this video, please subscribe, like. I'll see you in the next one.